Hello and welcome to yet another video on margin notes presented by your mentor Vivek. This is the first episode of a new series on this channel, so let me tell you what it is before anything else. Margin notes is commentary. Every episode takes one article that somebody else wrote about spec-driven development, credits them properly, and then adds an independent read where I agree, where I do not, and how it lines up against the evidence we have covered elsewhere on this channel. It is not a summary. It is not a replacement for reading the piece, and I would genuinely rather you read the piece. The link is in the description. The author's name is on the screen, and if the article is good, you should go and follow them. Today's is by Joshua McDonald, published on Medium in April, and it opens with a number that made me sit up. The claim first, because it is the thing that will get quoted out of the article. Throughput up by roughly a factor of 2 to 3 over the past year with headcount unchanged. And what moved in his account was not the tool on its own. It was how the team wrote specifications and how the work those specifications described got split up. Now, this channel has a rule about numbers like that, so let me apply it honestly. This is a single team, self-reported, over a year, with no control group. It is an experience report, not a measurement. But here is the part that made me trust the rest of the article. He says, in his own words, that none of this makes any individual task faster. What it changes is throughput. That is a distinction almost nobody selling you an AI workflow will make. And it is exactly the distinction that matters. He is not claiming the machine types faster. He is claiming the team can have more work legitimately in flight at once. Those are completely different claims, and only one of them survives contact with a real sprint. And now the reason I picked this article for the first episode. It is not the number. It is one idea stated plainly that I have not seen said this clearly anywhere else. Decomposition is the part you cannot automate. The tools will generate a task list. They will happily propose a split of the work, but mapping that split onto the team you actually have, who has touched which part of the system, who reviews well together, which corner of the code base nobody wants to be alone in. That is human work, and it is done by someone who knows the people. His observation is that a decomposition written without that information looks perfectly fine on paper and then runs serially in practice through whichever engineer happens to have the right context. I have watched exactly that happen, and I had never named it that precisely. The mechanism is worth stealing too. He splits the same feature 3 separate times. Once by surface, meaning the layers the work touches. Once by user journey, meaning the distinct behaviors. And once by risk, meaning blast radius. Then he takes the union of the 3, and the risk pass decides who gets what. The pieces with a migration or a rollback plan go to the human who knows that system. The tightly scoped additive pieces go to an agent. In his team, the split lands around 60-40 in favor of the humans. So here is my own read, which is the part you came for. First, where his instinct lines up with evidence from outside his team. On the spec signal side of this channel, we covered a study of 20,000 agent sessions where over 91% of the breakdowns that got resolved needed a human to notice and correct them, and another where 56% of an agent's code review comments were rejected by developers. So when he keeps the risky work with humans and keeps the human gate at the merge, that is not conservatism. That is the arrangement the measured evidence supports. Now, where I would push back gently. The centerpiece of his coordination is a plain markdown table listing every spec and its status, which the whole team edits by hand. He says himself that it works because the team trusts it, and the team trusts it because the team writes it. And that is true, but notice what it means. That artifact is social, not technical. On a team that already has that discipline, it will work beautifully. On a team that does not, it is the first thing to go stale, and a stale index is worse than none because people keep believing it. And one more caution on that 2 to 3 times figure, which is not a criticism of him. He never claims otherwise. A year is a long time. Over that year, the team got more familiar with its own domain. The underlying models improved considerably, and the practice itself matured. 3 things moved at once, and from the outside you cannot separate them. So take the direction seriously and hold the multiplier loosely. So what should you do with this? His own closing advice is the most useful thing in the article for anybody starting out. And it is the opposite of what the article's own length would suggest. Do not install all of it at once. Start with a trimmed project context file and one custom command. Use it on a single feature. Find the place where the process actually breaks for your team and add the next piece there. He is explicit that the tooling should grow in response to real frustrations rather than imagined ones, and that hooks come last after the team agrees on what is worth enforcing. And my caution, that article contains a complete working setup. I am deliberately not reproducing any of it here because it is his work and you should get it from him. But I want to flag the trap. Copying somebody's configuration is easy and it feels like progress. The configuration is downstream of the judgment, and the judgment is the part that took him a year. Copy the setup if you like. It will not give you the decomposition instinct. So here is where I land. This is an honest practitioner report from somebody who is clearly doing the work rather than selling it, and it is worth your time. Hold the multiplier loosely. Take the 3-pass decomposition seriously and try it on your next feature. And keep the one sentence. The split is the part a human still has to do. The full article is by Joshua McDonald on Medium. The link is in the description, and it is far better read than summarized. Go and read it. If you found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for patient listening, and see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.